Pause whatever you are doing at this exact moment. Grab your phone, the one resting right beside you, the one tucked inside your pocket, the one you depend on for absolutely everything. Your text messages, your personal pictures, your bank accounts, your confidential conversations, your whereabouts history, your emails, everything. There is one particular setting on that device, one solitary option that ships enabled by default, that authorities can use to get inside your phone without your password, without your Face ID, without your fingerprint, and without a warrant under certain conditions. Not through hacking software, not through some expensive specialized gadget, but through a setting your phone manufacturer quietly switched on before the device ever reached your hands. A setting you have almost definitely never once adjusted. And here is precisely why this deserves your complete and undivided attention. Your phone carries more intimate personal data about you than anything else you have ever possessed. Every text conversation you have ever had, every destination you have ever visited, every picture you have ever captured, every search term you have ever typed, every individual you have ever reached out to, every personal thought you ever typed onto that screen. All of that sitting wide open through one setting you never even realized was active. Today, I will walk you through exactly what that setting is, precisely how it operates, specifically how law enforcement agencies take advantage of it, the particular court rulings that determined when they are and are not permitted to use it, and the exact steps to switch it off on both iPhone and Android devices in under 60 seconds. Stay with me through the final portion, because I will hand you a thorough phone privacy protection checklist that reaches far beyond this single setting and gives your device the strongest legal protection that technology currently makes possible. Before anything else, a necessary note. This video exists purely for educational purposes. Laws around digital privacy, law enforcement device access, and your constitutional protections concerning your phone differ from one state and jurisdiction to another. Nothing said in this video constitutes legal advice of any kind. If you feel your digital privacy rights have been compromised, reach out to a licensed attorney in your local area without delay. All right, here we go. The setting I am referring to is known as USB restricted mode. Or more accurately, the problem is the absence of proper USB restricted mode protection. Let me break down exactly what that means. Every current smartphone on the market, both iPhone and Android, contains a USB port or charging connector. When you plug your phone into a computer or a separate device through that connector, your phone becomes capable of sharing data with whatever it is linked to. That is how you move photos onto a computer, how you create phone backups, how you install software updates, how you keep your device synchronized. But that same pathway is also how specialized forensic instruments that law enforcement uses can reach inside your phone and pull out your data. Tools such as Cellebrite and Graykey, covered in earlier videos on this channel, establish a connection through that USB port and extract information directly from your device. This is the point where the overlooked setting becomes absolutely critical. Apple rolled out USB restricted mode in 2018 as part of iOS April 1st 11, releasing it specifically as a countermeasure to the increasing use of forensic extraction tools. When USB restricted mode is correctly enabled, your iPhone cuts off all data transfer activity through the USB port once the phone has remained locked for 1 full hour. After that 60-minute locked period, the USB port serves one function only, which is charging the battery. No data movement, no forensic software access, nothing at all. The device becomes essentially unreachable through USB until you enter your passcode and unlock it. Here is the problem. USB restricted mode on a large number of iPhones is not set up in its most protective configuration straight out of the box. There is one particular setting that the vast majority of iPhone owners have never once looked at that controls exactly how much protection USB restricted mode actually provides. And on Android devices, the comparable protection comes through developer options, a menu most ordinary users have never opened, and USB debugging, a feature that may currently be switched on across millions of Android phones, with the owners having no knowledge of it whatsoever. I will show you precisely what to look for and how to correct it. But first, let me explain how authorities actually exploit this opening. Let me take you through the specific ways law enforcement uses USB access to pull data off phones, because understanding the method is what makes the need for protection feel so completely obvious. Method number 1 is Cellebrite UFED. The Universal Forensic Extraction Device from Cellebrite is the most extensively used phone data extraction system within United States law enforcement. It establishes a connection to your phone through the USB port and has the capability to pull out text messages, call records, photos and videos, location information, application data including content that was deleted, passwords saved on the device, email content, social media information, and, in certain situations, even data from encrypted messaging apps. This tool is actively used by local police departments, federal agencies, and prosecutors throughout the country, and it delivers the best results when it connects to a phone before USB restricted mode has been fully and properly set up. Method number 2 is GrayKey. GrayKey is a tool built with one precise purpose in mind, which is breaking through iPhone security by taking advantage of weaknesses within iOS itself, bypassing the passcode entirely, and gaining unrestricted access to everything on the device. How well it works depends on which iOS version is installed, and Apple constantly releases patches to close the specific gaps that GrayKey relies on. But the most important thing to understand here is that both of these tools perform at their highest level when deployed rapidly, before the phone's built-in defenses have had a chance to fully engage. That is exactly why officers at an arrest scene move with such obvious urgency around any phone present. Their rush to get hold of it and attempt access before it locks makes complete sense once you understand what forensic technology is available to them. Method number 3 is compelled biometric access. This is a legal distinction that directly affects every single person who owns a smartphone. Courts have drawn a clear line between your passcode, which is categorized as something you know, and your biometric data, which is categorized as something you are. The Fifth Amendment shields you from being forced to hand over your passcode because doing so is considered testimonial. It demands that you reveal information that exists only inside your mind. However, courts across numerous jurisdictions have ruled that biometric access through Face ID or fingerprint scanning can be legally compelled because holding your face up to a camera or pressing your finger to a sensor is a physical act rather than a testimonial one. This means that if Face ID or fingerprint is your primary method of securing your phone, a court order could potentially force you to provide that biometric access. Your passcode, by contrast, generally cannot be compelled under the Fifth Amendment in most jurisdictions. This is the reason your passcode gives you stronger legal protection than your biometric credentials do. Now let me take you through the specific court decisions that shape your rights when it comes to phone access, because understanding these rulings means understanding exactly where your protections begin and end. Riley versus California, 2014. This is the case that everything else builds on. The Supreme Court ruled unanimously that police officers are not permitted to search the digital contents of a cell phone seized during an arrest without first obtaining a warrant. Chief Justice Roberts wrote, paraphrasing here, that a smartphone is not simply a modern convenience, but rather a window into virtually every dimension of a person's private existence. The impact of this ruling was substantial. It firmly established that your phone is entitled to Fourth Amendment protection. However, there were several important questions that Riley left completely unanswered. What happens when law enforcement physically forces your biometric access rather than searching the phone directly? What is the legal status of data sitting in a cloud account rather than on the physical device? What happens when extraction occurs before the phone owner has any opportunity to adjust their settings? These unresolved areas represent genuine legal gaps, and the setting I am walking you toward is designed specifically to address them through technical means rather than legal ones. Carpenter versus United States, 2018. In this ruling, the Supreme Court determined that law enforcement generally must obtain a warrant before accessing cell phone location data held by carriers, establishing that individuals hold a reasonable expectation of privacy in their digital location records over time. The biometric access question remains unsettled. Courts operating at different levels have come to genuinely opposing conclusions, with some determining that biometric access can be legally compelled and others concluding that compelling such access violates the Fifth Amendment. The Supreme Court has not yet stepped in to resolve this disagreement definitively. What this means for you in practical terms is straightforward. If you rely on a passcode, authorities generally lack the legal power to force you to reveal it. If you rely on Face ID or fingerprint, your legal position may be considerably weaker depending on where you are located. And if your phone can be reached through the USB port by forensic tools without any passcode or biometric at all, that is the exact vulnerability the hidden setting is built to eliminate. Deadly mistake number 1 is depending entirely on Face ID or fingerprint recognition as your sole phone security method. As I just covered, biometric access may be legally compellable in many places. A court direction requiring you to present your face or finger to your phone is treated very differently in law from an order demanding you reveal your passcode, and courts have been increasingly willing to permit compelled biometric access. The answer is a strong alphanumeric passcode that in most jurisdictions cannot be compelled under the Fifth Amendment. You are welcome to keep using Face ID or fingerprint for everyday convenience, but make sure a strong passcode is set as the underlying protection. And understand that in any high-pressure encounter, pressing the power button 5 times on your iPhone will immediately disable Face ID and require your passcode to get in, giving you Fifth Amendment passcode protection in that critical moment. Deadly mistake number 2 is having USB debugging switched on inside your Android device without being aware of it. USB debugging is a feature within Android's developer tools that allows a connected computer to communicate directly with your phone's operating system, bypassing a significant number of standard security layers. It was created for software developers who need it while testing their applications. But when it is active, forensic extraction tools can exploit it to retrieve considerably more data from an Android device than would otherwise be possible. People end up with it enabled for a variety of reasons. They followed an online tutorial that required it. It was necessary for something they did one time. Or the device arrived with it already switched on, and they never thought to check. I will show you the exact steps to verify this and turn it off right away. Deadly mistake number 3 is leaving your phone unlocked or in a recently unlocked state when law enforcement is nearby. USB restricted mode begins its 1-hour countdown from the moment your phone locks. If your phone is currently unlocked or was unlocked not long ago, forensic tools can connect through the USB port and access data without any delay. This is why officers at a scene will frequently take steps to ensure phones do not get locked, or will move quickly to access them before the lock engages. The protective response in any encounter involving law enforcement is to lock your phone without hesitation the moment the situation registers. Do not place it unlocked where it might be picked up. Do not hand it over in an open state. Lock it right away and let the 1-hour USB restricted mode timer start running, because even if they end up physically holding your locked device, the forensic tools available to them become meaningfully less effective once that hour has passed. Deadly mistake number 4 is assuming that a factory reset will fully and permanently protect your data. Forensic tools are capable of recovering information from devices even after a full factory reset has been performed, particularly on older hardware that uses certain types of storage architecture. Genuine data protection requires encryption, which current iPhones and Android devices activate by default, combined with the security settings we are about to go through. Performing a factory reset on a device that was not properly encrypted beforehand may still leave data that can be recovered. The real solution is encryption paired with correct security configuration from the start, not a reset attempted after something has already gone wrong. Deadly mistake number 5 is operating a phone with an outdated operating system installed. Forensic tools, including Gray Key, are engineered to exploit specific security gaps present in particular operating system versions. Apple and Google release ongoing updates to iOS and Android that close those specific gaps as they are discovered. Whatever version of iOS or Android your phone is running today, if it is not the most current release, it may contain documented weaknesses that forensic tools have been specifically built to target and exploit. Keeping your operating system fully and consistently updated is among the most impactful privacy protections available to you, because each update seals off entry points that forensic tool developers have already identified and built their systems around. Here's the exact process for securing your specific device right now. On iPhone, the setting you need to address is called USB accessories, and it must be switched off to achieve maximum protection. Follow these precise steps. Open your Settings app. Tap on Face ID and passcode, or Touch ID and passcode depending on your model. Enter your passcode when prompted. Scroll downward until you reach a section labeled Allow Access when locked. Within that section, locate USB accessories. If the USB accessories toggle is currently in the on position, your phone is permitting data transfer through the USB port even while the screen is locked. Switch it off right now. Once USB accessories is turned off, USB restricted mode becomes fully active, and your phone will stop all USB data transfer after it has been locked for 1 continuous hour. This is the setting. This is the one you switch off before this video finishes playing. There is one additional step for iPhone users. Return to your main settings screen, tap Privacy and Security, then scroll down until you find Lockdown Mode. Lockdown Mode was introduced with iOS 16 and represents the most aggressive privacy configuration that Apple currently provides. It disables a wide range of features including all USB data transfer, not just after an hour but entirely, and it is specifically intended for individuals who face genuinely elevated risk. If you have real reasons to believe you are in a higher risk situation, seriously consider enabling lockdown mode. On Android, the setting requiring your attention is USB debugging, and it needs to be in a disabled state. Here is exactly how to check it. Open your Settings app. Tap About Phone. Look for build number in the list. If you have previously tapped build number 7 times, you have already activated developer mode on your device. Go back to your main settings screen. Tap Developer Options. Locate USB debugging within that menu. If it shows as enabled, disable it immediately. If Developer Options does not appear anywhere in your settings, USB debugging is not active, which is exactly where you want it to be. For additional Android protection, go to Settings and tap Privacy, then tap Permission Manager. Go through every permission category and revoke access for anything that does not genuinely need to be active. Then go to Settings and tap Connected Devices or USB Preferences depending on your device. Make sure the USB connection mode is configured as charging only rather than file transfer or MTP. This ensures that whenever your Android phone is physically connected through a USB cable, it defaults to charging behavior only and does not open up data access channels automatically. Here is your complete phone privacy protection checklist. Work through every single item on this list today without putting any of them off. Check 1. On iPhone, switch off USB accessories inside Face ID and passcode settings. On Android, turn off USB debugging inside Developer Options. Check 2. Create a strong alphanumeric passcode with a minimum length of 12 characters. A basic 6-digit PIN is not sufficient protection. Check 3. Update your operating system to the most current version available right now without delay. Check 4. On iPhone, learn the 5-button press sequence that disables Face ID instantly. Repeat it until executing it feels completely automatic and requires no conscious thought. Check 5. Switch on two-factor authentication across every account that is accessible through your phone. Check 6. Turn off Bluetooth and Wi-Fi whenever you are not actively using them. Both technologies can be leveraged to track your device's location and movements. Check 7. Go through every app permission on your device and remove camera, microphone, and location access from any application that has no genuine need for it. Check 8. Use Signal for any communications that involve sensitive or private information. Check 9. Activate the Find My Phone feature so that you retain the ability to remotely erase your device if it is ever physically taken from you. Check 10. In any situation involving law enforcement, lock your phone the instant you become aware of the encounter. Never hand it over while it is unlocked. Decline to consent to any search of the device. State clearly and calmly that you do not consent to searches of your device and that you are invoking your right to speak with an attorney. Let me lay out the complete picture one final time so everything is clear and organized before you move on. The one hidden setting leaving your phone open to law enforcement access. USB accessories on iPhone. Turn it off. USB debugging on Android. Disable it. The 5 critical mistakes. Using only biometric security. Leaving USB debugging active. Keeping your phone unlocked around authorities. Trusting a factory reset to protect your data, running software that has not been updated. Your legal protections. Riley versus California established that a warrant is required to search phone contents. The Fifth Amendment means passcodes generally cannot be compelled. Biometric access remains legally vulnerable across many jurisdictions. Your full protection plan. Disable USB accessories. Build a strong passcode. Bring your operating system fully up to date. Master the 5-button Face ID. Disable. Activate two-factor authentication. Switch off unused wireless connections. Audit and restrict app permissions. Communicate sensitive information through Signal. Enable remote wipe capability. And never give consent to phone searches under any circumstances. Your phone is your life. One setting. 60 seconds. Genuine protection. Turn it off right now. If this video gave you something valuable, hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. Every video I produce is built around giving you the precise knowledge you need to protect yourself, your privacy, and your rights. That wraps it up for this week. See you in the next one.